It's as simple as making the movie. Like, don't sit there and feel intimidated by everything that you have to do. Uh Literally just do it. Like, if you don't have a camera, if you don't have a crew, do your best to find one on connections, via connections, referrals, or like going and just putting yourself out there on the groups and just asking for advice or asking if anyone is new and if they have a camera, something like that. And if they don't and no one responds, then use an iPhone.
All right, today on the Downing Cut, we're excited to have Rose Kreider, a passionate film director and writer from the Pacific Northwest. With her films featured on the platform like Tubi TV, Amazon Prime, and many more, Rose has established herself as a dedicated female director. Starting her career in front of the camera as an actor and model, she brings a unique perspective to her sets, ensuring a connected and fun environment. Let's dive into her journey and her creative process. Rose, welcome to the Downing Cut. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome.
Well, I'm excited to have you on here. Just other few exchanges. I know we talked on Facebook, and I think that's where I started noticing who you were. And I think you saw who I was, and this is serendipity. What's working together. So, can you tell us how your journey started into acting and modeling?
Yeah, so mostly through COVID, to be honest with you. I have a law degree and I was in corporate America, and my contract at Microsoft ended. And through COVID, because there wasn't really anything on site to do anymore. And so I started just finding my passion online. I saw an ad to do a photo shoot contest, and I, on a whim, threw a photo in there and I won the competition, and it landed me a spot in New York Fashion Week. So I flew to New York. We were wearing
Wow.
masks on the runway, which was really interesting. And I thought that was going to be my passion, just doing runway modeling. And I didn't really like the people. I didn't really like the vibe. It's a lot like an actor. It's like dog eat dog world situation. And I would rather just, be a little bit more calm in my next venture. And so I got out of modeling and I started meeting actors in the Pacific Northwest. Actually, a lot of them are models as well. And started doing some shorts here and there and meeting people on set and getting to stand by directors and the writers and the producers and seeing what they're about. And I really enjoyed their role. And so I stepped away from the acting after we did a short film premiere at the Edmonds Theater in 2021.
So
And
let
I
me let me
didn't
pause
like,
you real quick. Let me
yeah,
pause you real quick. So I'm understanding you never modeled before.
no.
You just entered a contest and boom, you were off to the races. And then the
Yeah.
acting part came about how again?
So I met people that model and act in Seattle, and I started applying to, small shorts, like things like, for IMDb credit on online on Facebook. I was a
Yeah.
part of groups, and
Okay, so that's it then. You just started just
yeah,
jumping in, no classes, no
no,
inhibitions. You're like, oh, let me just try it.
exactly. I didn't have any experience at all. And I was just doing background roles. Like, that's how I got started. And this background role led to me getting this really cool part in this short film, about 20 minutes long. And they had a premiere at Edmonds Theater. And I watched myself in this performance. And not only did I not like seeing myself on camera, but I also didn't enjoy how it turned out. I won't say who it was or what company it was with. However, the director and the writer, it was their very first movie. And so it didn't turn out well. And that was the feedback too. And it was kind of embarrassing for me. I went home, I was crying, I was upset. And my partner's like, hey, if you're not happy with the director's work or the writing in the movie, you should write your own movie. And I was like, I don't write. That's not what I do. But fortunately, I keep a journal by my bedside, and I had a dream that night about a movie called The Woman that I ended up writing and directing, and now it's in multiple streaming platforms, including Amazon Prime. So ultimately, I wrote it down. I woke up, wrote out my dream, and then sat on it for about a week. And that following year in 2022, I made the movie, and it's
Wow.
called The Woman. And it's just taken off from there. And now I write everything I do.
So what's the woman about?
The Woman, it's a really nice, like, drama, heartfelt, family-oriented movie that's about a little boy that gets kidnapped after his parents die at a campsite. There's a lady that comes through and kidnaps him and adopts him, and when he's 18, he finds out that that's not his real mom. And so he makes the hard decision on, do I want to not try to find my family and figure out who I am, because it was a fake name as well, so he was trying to figure it out, or just stick with what I know and not try to find my family. And so he decides to try to pursue and find somebody in his family, and that's what happens. So,
Wow. So I heard you say in the very beginning you're a lawyer?
so no, I didn't go to law school. I got my
Okay.
business law and a technical degree, and I was working in the legal fields at Microsoft for like 8 years. I was doing immigration law.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So like passports and visas and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, visas, passports, lotteries. A lot of people that are coming in and out of different countries working at Microsoft or exiting Microsoft, I handled.
Interesting. So knowing we're gonna go work into the directing with that work experience and being able to communicate with others and from different countries, right? How has that helped you with your directing aspect and directing like The Woman, for instance?
Yeah. I feel like it's made me really calm. Like I'm good under stress because in the immigration law, no matter if you're at Microsoft or like a small law firm, there's that language barrier. So you really have to be calm and take vigilant notes. And so that's what I do on set too. If people don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, then I like play the part and I show them exactly what I mean, or I write it out. I mean, I'm very diligent in like sending too much information to where I send lots of messages so that we're on the same page. But it's a complete melting pot, like you're saying. Lots of
Yeah.
different cultures and personalities, and Microsoft has helped me, I guess, with that strength and skill on a film set too.
So I mean, I'm kind of a little bit flabbergasted because everyone I've spoken to has been went to school or always wanted to do when they were, acting since they were 10 or
Mhm.
had the vision or, tried different things. But you're this person that just jumped right into it. How did
Yeah.
you, start directing? How did you network or find people? Like, do you have a camera? Did you film it yourself or did you have to hire other people?
Yeah, it's I didn't know how to start. So I wrote out a screenplay and I was like, I don't even know how to start. So my partner's like, put your project management skills to the test and literally write out where you want to be. That's what I would suggest to anyone that's trying to get started and they're so overwhelmed by like all the steps. All you do is you have a screenplay or you have someone writing it, right? And then you're like, where do I want to take this? So how do I do, like, I want my movie on national television. I want it on Amazon Prime. How do I get there? So I utilized how I made those connections by going on Facebook, the groups like Actors, Pacific Northwest, things like that. There's one for crew. And so I just said, hi, I'm brand new at this. This is my first film. I'm looking for people that are like minded, that maybe it's their first film as well. And so I happened to have a whole cast and a whole crew within a month, and it was their very first job. So all my
Wow.
actors, it was their very first gig, and all of my crew, it was their very first gig. Um, we had a budget of $1,000. It was out of my own pocket. I didn't have a producer. I produced it myself, and we had really great quality cameras because I found people on Facebook that had cameras, but they didn't have any opportunities. So it just flowed from there.
It just worked. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then with the next step, I mean, like again, you're just hitting levels and levels. Your films are available on platforms like Amazon Prime and Tubi TV, YouTube. How did you get it on Amazon and Tubi? What aspects and avenues did you have to go through that?
Yeah, I like this question because it's a life lesson for me. Um, we had a movie premiere at the Edmonds Theater, ironically the same theater that I saw my movie that I didn't like, Out for the Woman in March of 2022. And there was a brand new production company out of Los Angeles that was looking for people like me to make movies so they can put it on their platform. It was a subsidiary program under Roku channel, like Roku TV, Roku channel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I signed a contract. I had someone look over it that trusted me and trusted my instincts. And I was like, I just want to get on TV. I just want to do it. And I didn't fully trust the people. And so when I say it's a learning lesson, I still haven't gotten paid from them. They've actually completely ghosted me. And I earned over $5,000 in just 2 weeks because my movie, I promoted it on their channel. So there might be a potential lawsuit coming. I just have to put my ducks in a row for that because, you want to, if someone that is watching that wants to know how to get on TV, ask for recommendations from other people like me because I didn't, and I learned my lesson, and I found a distributor in Los Angeles that is well known. Um, and you can literally type in distributors in Los Angeles and they'll probably be the first one. All you have to do is go through a simple screening process with somebody that's like taking the movies and making sure it looks good. And then what they do is every 30 days they present it to different channels. And so I have a platform that I go on like every couple of weeks and I see, oh, it's on Amazon Prime. Oh, it's on YouTube TV or Roku channel. And it's so cool. And then you get paid for it. So it's just, you know, that's the best thing that I would suggest is just doing research or asking for recommendations. But I have a LA distributor, so
That's
it
awesome.
worked out so far.
Well, congratulations. I think there's a lot of filmmakers out there that have that struggle of trying to figure out how do I get the content out there? What channels do I go through? Who do I
Yeah.
trust? Yeah.
Yeah. And I
But
see a lot of people just with their YouTube channel and they rely on YouTube to pay them and so they can get their profit. I mean, that's fine and all, but I wouldn't stick with YouTube. I would go down every avenue. Like if you're like me and you see like before you even start with the movie, you want to be like, this is where I want to be. How do I get there? And find a way to get there. If it's just YouTube, that's great. If you have a YouTube channel, you have a lot of subscribers, that's fine. But there are those people that are like, how do I get it on Tubi? Google it. Just Google. Yeah, it's super easy.
what were the challenges in making your first film, and what did you learn from all that?
The challenges were probably not knowing anything. Just knowing that I feel like I'm a good leader, at least with my family and friends group. It's interesting. I don't have a lot of friends too, but when we're out and we're trying to be spontaneous, people literally look at me and they're like, "What are we gonna do?" So I'm kind of the planner and the person that like puts together something. And my partner was saying that I could put those leadership skills and be a director. And if it didn't work out, then I probably would have just been a writer. But I got great feedback my first movie. I think the things that were challenges were like not understanding lighting. Lighting on set is really important, and we barely used any lighting, to be honest with you. Um, the ultimate like editing process, the post production, I did not understand how long that took. I only left us a month to edit this feature film of an hour. And we were editing the movie. I'm not even joking you. We were editing the movie until the day of the premiere. So the premiere started
Wow.
at 11:30 in the morning and we didn't have it finished until like 8 in the morning. So it was like really down to the wire.
How many
So just
weeks?
lessons of
How
yeah.
many weeks was that from
So
your
we
from
filmed
post?
all of January through a snowstorm too. And a lot of the movie was outside, so we were freezing. Like the movie
Oh
you can't
man.
tell that we were so cold, but we were freezing. And then we stopped filming like the first week of February 2022. And then we were post production, and my movie premiere was March 13th. So we literally had a month to edit
Wow.
a feature film.
So you booked the theater before the film was even done.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. You're like, it's gonna get done no matter what.
yep.
What what kind of what it's a is it a thriller? It's a drama.
My first one was a drama. The Woman is a drama film.
And then what kind of influenced your, I guess, directing, writing style to go down that path?
Well, I had the dream of The Woman, and it was, the very beginning is the parents dying and the boy being kidnapped. And instead of making it like a dark crime, I wanted to make it like, how can I turn this to make a child want to watch it, or for someone to try to connect with it and actually feel connected to it, which is awesome because that's what's happened. I've had people literally different countries message me on Facebook and be like, did you write this movie? Yes, I did. And they're like, I connect with it because I was adopted and didn't find my family until X time. So it was just really cool that people connected with it, and I think that's what I liked about it. But I
Yeah.
didn't necessarily know what I was writing. It was just the dream, and then I kind of put it together, and it ended up being a drama.
Would you say that's the movie that kind of put you out into the atmosphere? Because
Yeah.
when you Google your name, you're coming up with different groups and awards and recognition
Mm.
and other things. How did that happen?
Uh, it's an interesting question because I don't even know. The Woman, I wanted it to take off, and it did. Um, and then so it came out with the production company that screwed me over for about 4 months, and then I cut ties. And then I went to the LA distributor about like 6 months after the release, and I was like, oh my gosh, I hope it gets the traction I want it to get. And then after a month of it just being out, all of a sudden I had a nice paycheck, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's on Amazon Prime and it's all these things. And it's continuously going on different streaming platforms too. So it's a continuation. But like the awards, I just threw my name, and the I uploaded the movie into Film Freeway, which is where most of the festivals sit, as you know. And I forgot half the time that I even submitted to festivals, and then I would wake up and I would get an award. So I won 3 awards for The Woman.
Wow.
Um, One was
Congratulations.
London Film Festival, one was New York Film Festival, and then there was one in Texas. And I can't remember which one was for what, but one was Best Director, Best Drama, and then Best Leading Actor in a Drama. So it was like really, really cool.
Were you able to go to those festivals and watch your film?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, see.
No, I just got the recognition and the email, so
That's a dream of my wife and I is when we submit a film to actually try to go to the locations and going to London. That'd be awesome, right?
Mhm.
New York,
Right.
being able to sit there and everything. Um,
Yeah.
Being an actor as well, were you able to make any cameos in your own film or anything like that?
Actually, yeah. Um, Almost all of my movies, there's cameos. So I'm in The Woman, which that movie, it was a whirlwind for 3 months. Like, I literally breathed, ate and slept The Woman. Like, I went to bed thinking about how can I make this movie better, or like what can I add to it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I barely got sleep the night of the premiere, and then when I saw the movie in theaters, I obviously had seen it over 100 times already, but I forgot I was in it. So when I saw myself, I was like, "Why is everyone laughing?" And then I realized I'm in it. But then the second movie that I did, which someone else wrote, I just changed it a little bit. I co-wrote it. I forgot to put myself in it, but then moving forward, I've been in basically everything.
Wow. So have you been working with the same crew, any
I
actors
wish.
or
I wish I had that connection. I see a lot of people in our area that have a set crew or director that they always work with, and they're on call basically for them, like, yes, I'm available, let's do this. I don't have that. My goal is to have my own production company. I mean, I have Rose Kreider Productions, but I don't have equipment for it. So
yeah.
my goal is to not only have all the equipment needed for my own film set, but then also being able to rent out equipment for people. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
What I know one of the things that you emphasize in creating a healthy and connected and fun environment on your film sets. What are some of the specific practices and techniques that you use to actually accomplish that?
Yeah. I Well, first of all, one of my rules just to make everyone feel safe, um, is no politics talk. Like, I have a list of 10 simple rules that everyone has to sign and acknowledge before even filming anything. And it's really helped out because I have been on film sets where it's not nice and people feel threatened by others, and so I just have simple rules. One of my other rules are, when you get on set, introduce yourself to everybody. Don't just walk in and then wait for people to come say hi. I expect everyone to come in, greet the director, the cinematographer, all these things, and it just makes it for like an open space environment. I also always have candy, like a bowl of candy on set, which sometimes makes people happy. um, I also, which I, as an actor, I never experienced this myself, and so, going back to maybe something that we talked about earlier is, like, my when I was an actor, I didn't have great experiences, like, from the director, and, I wanted to completely do my own set the opposite way that I was taught on set. So, like,
Yeah.
I noticed that me as an actor, I wanted to feel some kind of connection to my character and, like, do something my way and then run it by the director and see if that's okay, instead of them saying, "Do this exactly this way." That's fine, but I like leaving it up to the interpretation of the actor,
Mhm.
because they've hopefully connected to their character in some capacity. And so for like a Christmas Carol that we're doing, um, or that we finished, there were some ways that I wrote it that were more generic, and a lot of people came up to me and was like, "Hey, thank you for letting me have my character up to interpretation and do it the way that I want to do it. Is it okay if I change the script part just a little bit?" So giving the opportunity to an actor on set to be who they want to be, I think is like really helpful.
Has there been ever a time where you had to kind of steer the actor back a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, there was my second film, A Room by the Road. We filmed at a hotel and then also at a house in a neighborhood nearby. And there was this person that continuously wanted to argue, like, while we were filming. So there's a time and a place. I feel like as a director, like, I have to be direct while we're filming, like while the camera's rolling. And if we continuously have to pause it for you to argue about it, and that's a problem. But like, I appreciate people coming to me and saying, "Hey, can we do it this way, or can I try it this way?" I'll say yes, but then can we also try it the way that's written in, just so we have a comparison. But this one person wanted to literally cut. So they said cut constantly. They're like, "Cut." And I was like,
They're cutting the
"Yeah."
scene.
Oh, this, yeah, I would never work with this person again. I have never seen them since my film set either, but they were cutting and looking at me and be like, "No, I think we should do it this way instead." I was like, "We'll do it your way, and then we'll do it how it's written, and then I will choose which one's going to be better." Because most of the time, when people come up to me and they say, "Hey, can we do it this way?" I say, "Yeah, sure." And I end up liking that version better.
Yeah.
But you don't cut and then you say, "I like this version better," and then you won't even do it my way. It's just weird. I've had that happen a couple of times.
Was that person experienced? I mean, it sounds like they weren't because I mean, in my number of years, I've never heard an actor go, cut.
Uh, this person thinks that they're experienced, but I know that they're not. And anytime their name comes up with other actors, they ask me my opinion. Like, I have a lot of actors or directors that are like, "What do you think of this person?" And I'm like, "Thanks for asking, because you should be asking for a recommendation."
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't recommend them. And they say, "Well, I've never even heard of them in another film." So they're very much green, but they think they're better than they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're burning their own bridges that they've never built yet.
Yeah, it's interesting. And then I've caught them in lies too. Like, people have come up to me and said, "What do you think of this person?" And I'm like, "Well, they made me go and pick them up." Like, I had to leave my film set to go pick them up from their house. I know. And it was very interesting. I don't want to get too far into it, but I was waiting around for like an hour. We were all waiting for this person because unfortunately they were a main character. So I was like, "Where is this person?" And then I call them and they're like, "Oh, I'm waiting for a ride." I'm like, "What?" So I had to leave my phone set to go pick this person up. But anyway, it's
Wow.
happened. It's happened before.
So for those that are watching and are thinking of becoming an actor or just starting out as actors, just remember that golden rule. You never call cut. You let the director call cut. That's all part of it's, it's like,
Yeah.
that's like 101. I have to admit though, there was one actor who did call cut on my set because it was me, and it was because I was directing and acting in front of the camera at the same time. So, um, yeah, it's really interesting. So, as a female director, what kind of unique challenges have you faced in the film industry, and how have you overcome them?
I get this question often, and to be honest, I think it's cool to be one of those minorities. Like, I don't necessarily feel like I'm treated any different. Most of the time, my cinematographer is, or first AC or second AC, whatever it may be, they're mostly male. But I've
Mhm.
never had them try to override me or my opinions. Like, people have been very respectful. I don't I don't think it's really ever been a negative experience for me. When it comes to award ceremonies, though, I don't see a lot of female winners. I think that's the separation there, is like there's not enough. And I have been up for awards in Pacific Northwest. There was an award ceremony, I can't remember what it's called now, but they had like actors and directors, and I was the only director nominated, and every single person that won was a male in their category, and I found that really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Um, I'm trying to think of all the this event. I mean, I know that Film Frequently does have the categories for female director and
Yeah.
best actress, best actor. I know they kind of broke that down, and because I know my wife, I think she was nominated for Iris. She directed that. um, but other than that, it seems like there's no biases or any kind of contention or anything like that. Have you tried looking out for a female DE?
I'm not biased at all. Like, I put out a notice, and I it is limited, to be honest, with like opportunities that especially are unpaid. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah,
But I haven't actually heard except of one person who is mostly an actor. But she has her own camera equipment that is like pretty great quality. She's the only one that I know that has her own production equipment. Other than her, I don't know of any cinematographers that are just female cinematographers.
interesting. Okay. Knowing that the film industry is constantly evolving, how do you stay at current with the industry trends and technology? Does that even impact the way you work?
Um, Not me necessarily. I think with the cinematographers, it does. And to be honest with you, when I have calls with cinematographers or editors, especially, they're like asking me these technical questions, and I'm like, what? I wish I knew how to edit. Like, I really want to learn. And that was one of my goals, like from my goals that I wrote in December that I wanted to accomplish this year. The year's gone away from me. It's almost August, and I haven't even learned yet. But I want to be better at like learning the lingo and like learning the new technologies and stuff. But it doesn't affect me as a director. They just tell me what they're trying to say, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm gonna try to understand what you're saying, but it's not my thing. It's not like I don't operate the camera, so I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. I mean, it's there's times where if someone's describing something, I'm like, I gotta see it. Show me what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. I'll do my best to understand what you're saying, but they have to go small talk with me because I don't know all the all the buttons on the camera. Like, eventually, like I mentioned, I want to buy my own camera according to the cameras I've seen and used on set. Like, I know which one I would probably go with. Um
Which one's that?
and get I really like the Black Magic. I
Yeah.
really like the quality on Black Magics. For a Christmas Carol, we used a red camera. I just remember it says red, and it's a big rig too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know some things a little bit, but when it comes to like editing especially, I'm like, I don't know. I'll tell you the order of which the scene should be, and that's
Right?
it.
It's in the script. Just follow the script.
Yeah.
There's numbers on there for you. What could you walk us through your process from conceptualizing? It sounds like a lot of this stuff comes from dreams, right? You
Mm.
conceptualize, you write it in your journal, but conceptualizing to the process to where you're actually filming on set and then post production. What are the kind of your workflows for that?
Yeah. So I'll give A Christmas Carol as an example, but it's different for like short films or silent films. So we're in the process of doing
Which I want
my
to talk about that too.
yeah, my I'll go into more detail about A Christmas Carol, but a silent film way less. Like right now we're actually in pre-production. We're filming my third silent film on August 11th. And I decided to do silent films just because you don't really see them that often. And I saw one in March and I got inspired and I was like, I'm going to do a series, like a fun, they're all funny and it's going to be a series. And so we're doing a new one and pre-production's like a couple of weeks, you know, and you
Yeah.
don't need a bunch of equipment. You don't need sound, like you throw in sound. So it's really simple. Like that is just writing it out, finding a DP, finding an actor, actors, a location and shooting it. With A Christmas Carol, I got the idea in November, actually the day before Thanksgiving. I saw A Christmas Carol, the 2008 version with Jim Carrey, and I was like, I was talking to my partner while he was cooking, and I'm like, I wonder if this is like free reign or do I have to buy the license? And so we looked it up, and he's like, oh, it's free. You can make a movie rendition of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so maybe I should write a rendition because I love the story. So I wrote it out. It took me a month to finalize the screenplay. I usually run it by a few people to get their perspective, whether it's meeting them in person and having a meeting about the script or, um, doing calls. And then after I finalize the script, I start location scouting right away. Because you don't want to have everything and all these people ready and then like no place to do it.
Right.
So I'm location scouting. Once I have at least a couple locations secured, um, then I start doing posts. So I go on like casting networks. I find most of my people just on Facebook. But I do it kind of different than a lot of directors or casting directors do. I don't do interviews. Like I
Interviews.
don't
Yeah.
do face-to-face interviews. I don't expect a reel. I don't expect an audition. I hate that. I hated that as an actor. You don't really get a good personality from them. Like they're sometimes they're nervous, sometimes, it's all scripted. So I would rather just have a conversation with them over the phone.
Okay,
Um,
so that's how you're kind of building that rapport and seeing what they're like just based off of the
yep.
phone. But what about the only reason like people audition is the look, right? Will they
Mm,
fit that character? Will they their mannerisms, the way they move, the way they speak, do they
right.
move their hands too much, that type of thing. So you don't
Yeah.
do that at all.
No, no, I don't. I either get recommendations. If there's a specific look I need, then I'm gonna go on the, Facebook groups or casting networks. And then if I don't know them normally, it's either a recommendation that I like reach out to somebody personally and I ask them if they've worked with them, uh, or I have a phone conversation with them. And I think that's enough for me because I'm really intuitive, highly intuitive, and so I typically make the best casting decisions via that. There have been a few times where people act out on set and I'm like, okay, that personality fit maybe wasn't the best, but I learned from it.
Okay.
I mostly do a check online if if they're, actively looking for an opportunity. I love people that are putting themselves out there and that are looking for opportunities versus people. There's a few people that come to mind that just think they have it all. They win awards for best actor and they wait for people to come to them and they're not begging for an opportunity. I like the people that are like coming to you and asking for that opportunity. I'll give you an opportunity just for you asking me. So that's the casting part. Um and then I set up like one-on-one calls. I do a group chat with everybody. Actors are on one and then crew is on another, and then I typically send out the rules, I send out the script when it's finalized, I send out contracts for people to sign. And then if there's pay involved, then that's a discussion too. With the crew is a lot more strenuous, I think, because I need a list of all the equipment, I need a list of the responsibilities. So this takes another like month of just casting and doing all of that. And then it's just, getting the set ready, getting the vibe ready, going to visit each set and making sure we have all the decorations and like the camera angles. And then filming, can take anywhere from a month to, for me, it was 5 months for A Christmas Carol, and then post
Is a
production.
That's a feature, right? With 2 hours.
I wish it was 2 hours, but the way I wrote it, it's only about 24 scenes. So
Okay.
it's a lot smaller than the woman. The woman was 33. A
Wow.
Christmas Carol I was hoping was going to be at least 45 minutes so I can say it's a feature film. The
Yeah.
goal is still 45 minutes, but it was kind of difficult to write more in for the film because I didn't want to change the story.
Right.
So it's 24 scenes, and we're gonna try to make it move slowly. So it's a holiday movie, so we want it to like flow. And I would love to have it at least 45 minutes, but I'm not sure.
So I'm curious because you this is based off of a movie that Jim Carrey was already in. You can download the script. How come you just didn't use that script if there's no copyright?
Yeah. So I did use some lines. I did download the
Uh,
script. I changed most of it though, but there's some parts that I think were really key to the movie. For example, at the very beginning, sorry, my dog's barking in the background. At the very beginning, when he is meeting Marley, who is his previous partner that had passed. I really loved that scene. It's really integral to the storyline. And so I kept a lot of that. But I changed it up with the ghost encounters because the 2008 version is animated. And so there were some things that I couldn't do. And a
right.
lot of the versions, aside from the original, have its own interpretations with the ghosts. So I was like, I'm just going to write in my own interpretation. And so a lot of it was changed, but there's about one or two scenes that were basically kept the same.
Okay. And then the when it comes to, I noticed in the behind the scenes, you have, I think the lead's wearing a prosthetic nose.
Yeah, yeah,
How
yeah.
how was that? Did you have to find a makeup artist to do that, or is that something that you did, or is that someone that he did it himself, or how does that work?
Yeah, I've never used a prosthetic ever on set, even as an actor. So I went on many different websites. Amazon did not have a Scrooge nose, and I wanted to keep the outfits as if what Scrooge would be wearing in present day. So all the outfits are everyone is in a specific decade outfit, like present day, but you can tell who they might have been in the past, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to keep the nose, and I was gonna bear any price whatsoever for the nose because I wanted the Scrooge nose. And I finally found it on this costume website, and it was Scrooge's nose. And I won't tell you how much it was. It was expensive,
Yeah.
but um, I had to hire a makeup artist, and they have their own company. Michelle, her name is Michelle. She goes by Michelle Oded. She's part of a makeup production, and she was going to do it, but then something came up, and so she has this amazing guy named Liam who works for her, and he was on set every single day putting on the nose and taking it off.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of makeup. We
Interesting.
had
Yeah.
originally a Scrooge wig to give him gray hair, but the wig looked crazy. And ironically, my actor had kind of longer hair anyway, so we just kept his hair.
Oh, that's good. What
Yeah.
now? You've directed more films than I have. You've directed like 5 films, right?
Mhm.
What? So have you built that rapport with your team, a team of actors, or are you just always switching actors because the story calls for that?
Yeah. Um, So with the Christmas Carol, this guy named Jeff Barnaby, who we're good friends now, he he and I had worked for the first time on A Christmas Carol back in March. And then when we wrapped him, he's like, "Hey, I really like working with you, so like let me know about any other films." And he has been the lead in all of my silent films. So I'm slowly building it up, but
Yeah.
I like I like a lot working with different actors. Like I don't want to ever be stagnant. And um if you know who I'm talking about. There's some people that use the same crew and the same
Oh yeah.
actors. The same crew is totally fine.
Yeah.
However, I don't feel like you progress as a director if you're hiring the same actors. And so
Yeah.
I don't like that. I laugh at it honestly because you learn every time and I don't ever typically hire the same people.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that's learned from Hollywood because you got, Seth Rogen's always doing. Adam Sandler was known for doing that. Um, but yeah, I totally understand. I think it's good to diversify on network and kind of get out. The
Yeah.
what other? Let's talk about your silent film, the silent film series.
Yeah.
I find that pretty fascinating because you said you saw a silent film and that really um, kind of inspired you to start going in that direction. Was there anything else that motivated you towards that?
Just the uniqueness, I would say. It's a niche, and I don't typically see anybody here do it. I think, as you know, a lot of people in Seattle, they do the gore and the horror and the crime, and that's really fun. I haven't tapped into that necessarily yet, but I feel
Are you
like
going
there
to?
needs to. What?
Are you going to?
I
Yeah.
might. I have a screenplay actually for a movie that would be gory, would be
Yeah.
down that line. I just need to find a crew and money for it. But I do have a screenplay. Um, but the silent films, I there's like specific film festivals for silent films. I feel like it's easy to do. Um, it's fun and it intrigues audience, I feel like, at least for me. And that's why when I saw this silent film at a festival, I saw it at a festival in March. I was like, that's so unique. And the difference between like watching a movie and not being able to hear anything and just music, it makes you want to watch it. Like when I was at the film festival and I saw the silent film, I put my phone down. Like I was like, oh, I have to actually watch it to like
Yeah.
understand. And I'm looking around and everyone is watching it because you have to, it's from the actions of the actors of which you have to understand the story. And I think that is like so cool. And so not only is it that it's unique, but it captures audience, right?
It's like
So
we've come
yeah,
full circle. That's what they did back in the day, and they had
yeah.
like a piano player that would play music. How are you hovering and sitting over the editors then as they're editing and you're picking up the music, or how does that work?
It depends on the editor. So
Okay.
for the woman, because it was also so the cinematographer happened to be the editor as well. I was like, "Hey, this works out
Nice.
because I could
Yeah.
be throwing notes at you, and you're like, oh yeah, we'll do that in post,' versus like having to re-explain it all to an editor that's not on set." But for the woman, I was like breathing over this person's neck and making sure that we were doing it together because I wanted it a certain way. Now I'm a little bit more off. A lot of my editors aren't even in Seattle. They're like in Michigan or New York.
Oh
And
wow.
so we have like a weekly call. They send me a rough cut. And I'm like, hey, I remember there was a different take that we did that I don't see in here. Can we actually switch it out? So, like, I do have the final say, but I'm not as hands on. I will
Yeah.
tell you though, A Christmas Carol is like my favorite movie that we've done so far. It's also the most professionally put together, I would say. We're about to hand off the footage to my editor who's in Michigan
Oh yeah.
next week. So we haven't started post production yet, but I will be very much closely editing it with him because I want it a certain way. So it depends on the editor, I think.
So do you guys set up like a Zoom call and then they share their screen and that's how it works, or?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
when it comes to the music, though, is I choose the music for everything. So all my silent films, The Woman I chose the music for, A Christmas Carol, I'll be choosing the music for. Um, yeah, and the drone footage, I'm very specific about, and so we're filming drone footage mid-August, and that will be, like, kind of the final thing we add into the movie, but there's a couple of drone footage, that I already have. They gave me, like, 15 different clips, and I was like, "We need this one specifically, but only from 5 seconds to 10 seconds," like, I will be specific about the drone footage more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you've directed 5 films and you've also acted in like 15, what do you receive constructive criticism? And if you do, how do you digest that? And then what do you find that's most valuable when someone's giving you feedback?
Yeah. Um So the woman directed my first movie. I There was a lot I could have changed and done differently on my set. There's one guy named Sone Tuval who was he was a production assistant, so he was behind the camera, so he actually got to see a lot more of how I operated. Um, who's in A Christmas Carol. He's in the very first scene. And he told me after his scene, he's like, "Hey, I really like how you've changed this." And like, um, he didn't give me any criticism. I've had that before. We can discuss that too, but feeling like I'm being validated since my first movie 2 years ago. I've had that happen a couple times. But there have been a couple of people in crew that have said on set like, "Hey, you need to be a little bit more strict." Or you need to assert your voice a little bit more because there's 50 people on this set at this time for A Christmas Carol, and some of them are listening to you, and then some of them are not. And I don't know if it's because I'm a female and most of them are male or like what's going on, but I'm still learning the healthy line of like being loud and assertive and not being mean about it. It's that weird kind of gray area that you have to be able to stay in, because I don't want people to be afraid or, like, think that I'm being aggressive, so that's that criticism has come up a couple of times, being like, "You need to assert yourself more." But I'm
Yeah.
afraid to, like, have people be like, "I don't wanna work with Rose again." So that's kind of been the trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's a balancing act of look, we're here to work, we're not here to kind of play around and stuff. I think that happens on a lot of sets where people, it's between takes and you guys are setting up and people are kind of joking around and kind of, happy go lucky type thing. I've had it, I've done it. And then when the director's like, hey, you're like, okay, we gotta focus.
Right.
What about like criticism and feedback in films like after like when you've created a film, do you send it out to people to review and watch and get their feedback?
So with the silent films I have, I do, like, a soft launch with the people involved, and if they wanna invite their family. Typically, it's not in person. It's like, my silent films are 5 minutes or less, so we
Yeah.
do a YouTube premiere where we click play at the
Yeah.
same time and we watch, and I get feedback that way, but other than that, like, A Room by the Road, The Woman, and A Christmas Carol, I will not do anything like that. I'm gonna put it out into the world because I'm confident with it, and we're gonna do the first time everyone's seeing it together is gonna be at the movie premiere at
Wow.
Edmonds Theater. And then the people that are not there will find it on TV, and that will be the hard launch. But no, eh, I think that's like a specific type of person that is maybe looking for that validation. For me, like I'm gonna be confident for what I put out, whether they like it or not. Like that's your opinion, but I'm gonna love it, and so I don't send it out to people to get feedback normally.
Okay. So, but what about because you're always giving feedback to the editor as well, too, right?
Mhm,
So you're
mhm.
providing that constructive criticism to them. Have you had to do that, or is the editor really pretty focused on what you need and what you want?
Yeah, the editor typically is the one that's asking the most questions. So, like, the cinematographer is typically being like, "Hey, I get how you want this, but, like, maybe that won't work," or, like, if you want it this way, we need to actually switch the light up," or something like that, and I typically go with their suggestion, but with the editor, like, especially the people that were not on set, they're like, what exactly do you want it to look like? Like, I will do it the way you want it to look like. I've never had an editor ever say, let's do it this way. Like, they've suggested maybe
Sure.
doing a black and white version versus a colored version. And I was like, we're going to do a colored version actually instead of black and white. But
Yeah.
thanks for your suggestion. But it's never been like that before.
The editor's like, I have to color correct now. what, what kind of it? I was gonna go back. I mean, do you write your own storyboards, or does a
Yes.
cinematographer do that? You do that
I
yourself?
I write my own storyboards for the woman. It was so like way more uh integrated between the cinematographer and I, who he's also the editor, because it was our first one. We're like, we need a storyboard. We need to take pictures at the location and put it into the storyboard so we understand. But like with this guy named Raymond, who's doing a room a Christmas Carol, who was a cinematographer, we just did shot sheets. And
Okay.
then when we got on set, we had already been there, so we knew kind of like where it was gonna be set up. But I do the storyboards and I kind of just tell them my vision if we didn't do a storyboard. But I
Yeah.
write it. I if they ask for a storyboard, I provide it. But that's not typically a thing anymore. I guess my first movie I did it, but I don't so much anymore.
What for your experience and I mean modeling, acting, directing, what kind of advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers, men and women looking to find their path into the industry?
Yeah. It's as simple as making the movie. Like, don't sit there and feel intimidated by everything that you have to do. Uh Literally just do it. Like, if you don't have a camera, if you don't have a crew, do your best to find one on connections, via connections, referrals, or like going and just putting yourself out there on the groups and just asking for advice or asking if anyone is new and if they have a camera, something like that. And if they don't and no one responds, then use an iPhone. I don't know how many times I've considered just using an iPhone because people make music videos. I don't listen to her, but Olivia Rodrigo made her music video, her most recent music video with an iPhone.
Oh,
So you can totally make a movie
yeah.
with your phone and just upload the footage in 4K. By the way, you can on iPhones you can put in 4K in the settings so that it's TV quality. You can upload it, find an editor or learn how to edit and just do it. It's funny to me, I see so many posts on the actors networks on Facebook, and there's these new people that come to Seattle and are like, hey, I'm new, I don't know how to start and I want to make a movie, and that's all they say. And most of the
Yeah.
time I ignore it. But I go back and I look at the comments and everyone's saying the same thing I'm saying. Hey, find a crew, you do IMDb credit, pay out of pocket for things like snacks and water and stuff, but you can make a movie with this much money. Like, you don't need to have some elaborate crew. Everyone kind of thinks that, but you can make a movie with your phone, a tripod. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. One final question, which is I've been asking everybody this question. When it comes to production technology, what would be your favorite tech?
Hmm. So it's an interesting question because I don't know how to answer it. Production technology, are we talking about like the equipment or are we talking about how we actually like our style of filming?
It could be anything tangible. So software, hardware, equipment, a certain
Yeah.
light that you saw, anything like that.
Yeah. Um I think my favorite is just a good quality camera.
Which
Um
would be the black magic.
the Black Magic. I've used the red and for a Christmas Carol. Just if you don't have a lot of money but you have a few $1,000s, put
A
all of
few.
that money to yeah, something like that, a few thousand. I mean, that's
Yeah.
still a lot. That's still a lot. But if you're trying to get started and you need one piece of really good advice or thing to buy, it's going to be a camera. You can use natural light outside if you don't have lighting. Use natural light. Use lamps, use candlelight. Like if you're trying to do a cool vibe, use the things that are natural. So like the candles, fireplace. Like I did that for a Christmas Carol because the vibe was really dark during certain times. And so one of my favorite scenes was Scrooge standing in front of the fireplace. All the lights were off. We had the fireplace. We had a light just underneath him to light his face a little bit. And we had candles along the mantle. And I thought that was the
Wow.
coolest scene.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't have lights, use things like that. Go outside, film outside, use natural light. So a good quality camera. And if you don't have a camera, get a good quality phone with like a gimbal.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So where can, if inspiring actors, where can they find you if they want to be a part of what your projects, future projects?
Yeah, I'm always looking, always looking. So I have Instagram, it's just at Rose Kreider. Facebook is also where I'm usually at. It's just backslash Rose Kreider. You can go on my website on Wixit, slash Rose Kreider, or you can just message me and ask me about my credentials. You can look me up on IMDb, or you can Google me like you did.
We will, and I will link all the links in the show notes. I appreciate your time, Rose. Thank you so much for kind of breaking down your journey and just letting, I mean, literally letting people know. Just do it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty much it. That's what you did.
Yeah, and
Well, I
if you go
appreciate
on
it.
like Facebook and you're throwing yourself out there, don't embarrass yourself by being like, I'm new, I don't know how to do this. Like, ask the correct way. I'm looking for a cast and crew. There will be people that come to you and they're like, hey, I'm looking for an opportunity. And there you go.
And
So
that's it. Thank you so much.
thank you.